It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Derek Queen said, as Willard quoted, "Give me the M-effing ball." And deliver, Derek Queen did. The king of College Park, Derek Queen, our first true buzzer beater.
I think that Maryland's going to win this game. I just think they're going to find a way to get the ball inside. They're going to cut down Clifford. They're going to contest the three-point line a little bit better. They're going to funnel the ball in.
Only on SportsGrid.
Ready to rise and grind right here on the early line. It is time to go. And over the next 3 hours, from 8 a.m. Eastern to 11 a.m. Eastern, we got you covered for all the hottest topics across the landscape here. If you're listening on Sirius XM channel 159, fantastic. If you're watching throughout all of our outlets, love it even more. I'm Donnie Rightside. He is Joe Ranieri, and we are here to set the stage. Are we in a little bit of a lull right now, waiting for the Sweet 16 on Thursday, the Elite Eight this weekend? Major League Baseball starts on Thursday. The NBA's been rolling all week long. The women's tournament, Joe, there's a lot to be thankful for right now across the sports landscape.
It's actually nice to have that little breather from the craziness that was the first 4 days of March Madness. But get the rest while you can, Donnie, because it'll be back Thursday, and it's going to be even crazier from this point forward.
Yeah, how about Thursday, by the way? You got the afternoon with Major League Baseball opening day, dipping right into the Sweet 16 games, which are phenomenal on a Thursday. So we have a lot to get the people ready for as we're watching on TV. Some of those spring training games finally ending, the home series that they have now, starting day on Thursday. Fantastic. All aces in the building, all superstars ready to go. But before we get there, we got to get to the hottest topics, which includes the 7-7, and maybe the hottest topic last night, and a topic that we don't like to talk about because Juju Watkins tears her ACL. USC star player is now down for the season and maybe missing most of next season as well. We've seen it before with Paige Beckers at UConn coming back to still be a superstar, but you never want to see the brightest bulb in the sport go down at the biggest time of the season here, Joe.
No, you don't. And you don't want to see it, especially, I mean, the team ended up winning 96-59. They were taking on the 9 seed Mississippi State. I mean, quite honestly, they didn't need her to beat them or probably need her to beat the next round either. And it's such an unfortunate situation that it happened so early on in the game. But she'll be back. She's one of the best the sport's ever seen. I have no doubt. It'll take a little time, but we saw Paige Beckers, like you said last night, do her thing as well.
Yeah, it's a shame, too, because you take a look at the NCAA tournaments over the past couple of years with so many superstars from Iowa to LSU to South Carolina. We were looking at this year being the season that Juju was going to take us over the top in the Final Four, maybe a championship run that we could all watch and enjoyed. So hopefully she gets the surgery, better next year and coming back on the track because she does have a couple years left of eligibility, which should help her out. So that's that there. Now, we've been focusing a lot here, Joe, and rightfully so, on the men's tournament and getting ready for Major League Baseball. But as we just talked about, a major injury shouldn't overshadow the women's tournament that's taking place right now. You see last night, Texas with a victory over Illinois. USC, as we just talked about, 96-59 over Mississippi State. UConn picked up an easy victory, 91-57, which saw Paige Beckers drop 34 points in that game as UConn advanced to the Sweet 16. So still a lot of star power, a lot of good basketball left to be played here.
And I got to tell you, that Maryland game was it felt like that game was on the entire day, double overtime. And every time I kept looking up, I'm like, they're still playing? Is this a replay? How are they still playing? What a back and forth game. Now, that is what madness is all about there yesterday.
No, it certainly is. And by the way, you take a look at some of these scores, too, like USC without their star, 96 points, NC State, 83 points, UConn, 91, Oklahoma, 96, LSU, 101 points in regulation. And then, as you just talked about, the double overtime game between Maryland and Alabama, 111 to 108. So a lot of excitement there happening at this point as they march to the madness here. Game last night, which I was actually wrong on. I took the points at home with Sacramento yesterday against the Celtics. The Celtics came to town on a back-to-back. Tatum leaves with an ankle sprain. The Celtics still pick up the victory, but post-game press conference, they don't think it's too bad for Tatum, and that's a really good thing for Boston.
Yeah, he only missed 6 games this season, and he's never missed more than 8 in a single season. He has been Mr. Durable for this team for all of these years, and that is exactly the thing these teams and these players dread the most in this final 10-game stretch of the regular season, Donnie, is games that, let's face it, aren't a whole lot to the Boston Celtics. The ability to maybe lose Tatum for any time, that's the scariest part of this final stretch.
No, you're certainly right about that because the NBA season is never about how well you play in the regular season with your superstars. It's, all right, can we fast forward the season, get to the playoffs where all our starting five is healthy with our superstars? Let's get there. So Tatum going down, hopefully it's not too bad. But again, still about 10 or 12 games left in the regular season where if he does miss some of that time, not all that big a deal. They were probably never catching the Cleveland squad here, or the Cavaliers, for that number 1 overall seed. Let's keep it moving in the NBA. Maybe a little surge here, Joe. The Phoenix Suns, 108-106 over the Bucks. A couple late clutch buckets here by Devin Booker in this game, able to upend the Bucks. If you bet the Suns at the opening line at -1.5, congratulations. If you bet them around game time, 3.5, 4 points, you lost that one. Vice versa if you had the Bucks. Just a matter of time of when you bet it. But the Suns, another victory here to stay in that playoff chase.
4 in a row, keeping pace here, trying to lock up that final spot. And you got to love Budenholzer getting a little bit of revenge there and an opportunity to get it done, and he did. But really, this has all been about Kevin Durant, and finally, this kid Ryan Dunn, this lineup with him starting with Durant and Booker, and them being healthy enough. Finally, they really start. Durant is still a very dangerous man, Donnie, very dangerous, and he is showing it once again alongside Booker.
Guess who's back in town? That's Anthony Davis for the Dallas Mavericks. Now, what do they plan to achieve this season? I really don't know at this point. They're looking to overtake maybe the Suns for the playing game to get bounced quickly at this point. We all know Anthony Davis struggles with injuries, but he returned last night, 27 minutes, 12 points, a +12 in his plus-minus as the Mavericks picked up the victory over the lowly Nets, who also aren't trying to win games, 120-101. Welcome back, AD.
I mean, admirable, right? Congratulations. I mean, it's nice to see that. I mean, it's only your second game since February 8th with the team, even though the season's almost over. And let's face it, nobody's expecting you to do anything at this particular point. But hey, he is collecting a check, so you got to appreciate a guy that says, you know what, as long as I can play, I'm going to play. And that's pretty much all he's doing with this Dallas team at this point.
Yeah, you don't want the NBA snooping around there saying, you're holding out players. Here's another couple $100,000 fine here. So we'll see what AD does with the Dallas Mavericks the rest of the way. How about in the NFL? Things I always love here, down in your neck of the woods. Hey, you know what? We're really not sold on Cam Ward yet. Can we put him in shorts and a T-shirt and throw against nobody? Oh, sold! He's the best player I've ever seen with the best workout. Now, I always agree. Cam Ward should be the top overall pick taken, but I never get over watching a pro day, Joe, and saying, you know what? Boy, I didn't know he could throw that 15-yard out route with nobody covering it and not in pads, man. That was sensational.
I mean, I'm so glad they did it because really, I'm sure that's exactly what the Tennessee Titans needed to know that, okay, we're going to have to take him again. This is a very strange draft class this year. I mean, outside of the 2 kids from Colorado and Cam Ward, there are going to be a lot of people on that night going, who did they say? What? Who's that? Who's going? Not a lot of big name value coming out in the draft this year.
Help me out with this next topic here. The college basketball transfer portal window is open. A Michigan player already jumped in the portal, but my favorite part about this is it's not as if, Joe, the portal opens up for like a 12-hour period. You got to get in there or otherwise you're not going to be able to transfer. It's open for an entire month, and the Michigan kid goes, which is Pippen's son, yeah, you know what? I played all year. I'm out of here now. Good luck, guys, in the tournament. In the Sweet 16, I got to hit the portal, which doesn't close for another month, so you could play in these games and wait and then get in the portal. Help me out with the college portal here, Joe.
It makes no sense. And not to mention that in the cloak of night, 1 o'clock in the morning, they end up firing the Minnesota basketball staff so they could hurry up and hire Nico Medved in the middle of the night. So wait a minute. Like, what is going all because of the portal being open? Unbelievable.
Yeah, it'd be like here at the SportsGrid Network, like you wake up in the morning, like, wow, Ranieri replaced Ben Stevens, who got let go overnight. You never know. You never know at this point right now. It could happen. You never know.
You really don't. Yep, yeah. You never know.
That's the way it is.
The portal.
The college, the portal. And again, can we just like open at the end of the total season, like the day after the national championship game? Come on, somebody make me commissioner of the NCAA. I promise I will make it better. Joe Ranieri, Donnie Rightside. We're making your morning better right now, and we'll be right back.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What?
How do you do this once?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
They are a street ball team. They remind me of an and one team, right?
Yeah.
They are street ball fast, park fast, playing in the hood. They are no joke, McNeese.
Yeah.
They can beat anybody. They won 27 games as well for a reason.
It's a bracket. You trust the team to make a run. Feels good until it doesn't. And that's didn't feel good for all that long. Kansas.
Only on SportsGrid. That magical time of the year when everyone suddenly becomes a basketball expert. Highlight watching, mascot picking, bracket stressing. Sound familiar? Skip the guesswork with Bracket Central. Real expert picks, trusted analysis, and zero stress. Because choosing teams by mascot cuteness isn't exactly a winning strategy. Only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that rim. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
Just a little flyer, couple of 18.5-point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. That's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
The association takes center stage here, Joe Ranieri, over the next couple days, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, until we wait for Thursday, start of the Sweet 16, and then this weekend's Elite 8 action. Now, a lot of stuff still has to be decided, and mainly, it's not really who the best teams in the NBA are. It's, quite frankly, who's going to be into the NBA playoffs and what your seedings are going to be. Now, one of the teams that we've watched all year long with major disappointment, Joe, is the Phoenix Suns. But last night, they get the 108-106 victory over the Milwaukee Bucks at home, which extends their winning streak now to 4 games. Over the last 10 games, 6-4. Expectations to enter the season, win a championship. Expectations now lowered to, hey, can we be a playing game? We already talked about the Dallas Mavericks winning their game last night, which essentially puts a tie between the Suns and the Dallas Mavericks for the final playoff spot to get into the play-in round with the 10th seed here. Tiebreaker going to the Suns right now. So if the season ended today, they would be in. But you see the game last night as it played out. No Dame Lillard on the side for the Bucks. This line opened up at 1.5, closed around 2.5 to 3.5. So if you took the Bucks later in the day, you hit that number. Kevin Durant last night, 38 points, Joe, 11 of 21 from the field, 7 of 9 from three-point range. Devin Booker last night, 19 points, inefficient, 0 for 5 from three-point range, but finished 7 of 18 from the floor. The Suns got another victory to try to stay ahead of the Mavericks. Is there any belief in 700 to 1 to win the NBA championship for the Phoenix Suns, Joe?
Well, it was inefficient for Booker, but congrats, because he's the one who hit the 20-footer there in the final seconds to end up winning it for the Phoenix Suns here. But Durant has been, out of his mind here. You can just see over this last stretch, this 4-game winning streak, there's a major effort here by Durant and lifting everybody else up around him. And Milwaukee's in pretty bad shape, but that's another story. But the Phoenix Suns very much alive, and I think very dangerous. We all know how the playoffs work, right? They don't have the greatest of depth, but they have enough here, and they have shown that they can pretty much go toe-to-toe. Kevin Durant and Devin Booker at any given night can bulldoze anybody in this league here, and they've been doing it, and they're probably going to continue to do it. I think they're bet on in these final 10 games. I think they have a pretty good shot of solidifying that playoff spot, and then they're a very dangerous team as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, you also take a look at the Sacramento Kings, who lost last night to the Boston Celtics, loses of 3 in a row, now also hanging in where they could get knocked out of the playoff picture altogether. So the Mavericks, the Suns, and the Kings all battling for those final spots there to make it into the play-in rounds. But if we do focus on the opposite side, the Milwaukee Bucks last night, that was a big loss for them as well, because they currently sit as the 5th seed in the East, but barely hanging on against the Detroit Pistons so they could slip to the 6th spot, losing last night 4 of 6 in the last 10. No Dame Lillard. Same thing with the Bucks, like aspirations of a championship run, just a very blah season for the Bucks so far.
It's just not good. I mean, Lillard's still out, but, they had Lopez last night. Giannis went nuclear, which you would expect there. This has not been a great road trip for him at all, but they're in a battle. I mean, listen, I don't think it means as much to the Bucks. I don't think they care whether it's the 3rd, 4th, 5th, whatever position it's going to be. They've been there. They have the rings on their finger. They understand that you just got to get there. But the Knicks, the Pacers, and the Pistons, that's a big battle with number 3 through number 6 in the playoff spots right now. And those younger teams like the Pistons, they ain't going to take their foot off the gas anytime soon here. So the Bucks got to be careful.
Yes, they certainly do. And also another team that has to be careful. We just talked about the Sacramento Kings dropping a game to the Boston Celtics last night, 113-95. The boys were all there in the starting lineup for the Celtics. Now, they didn't finish the game. We'll get to that in just a few moments. Tatum, Porzingis, Holiday, White, and Brown. Leading the way was Jason Tatum, 26 minutes, 25 points before leaving with the injury. Kristaps Porzingis, 16 points. But the thing I always love is you always check the bench. Peyton Pritchard, 8 of 18. Pritchard shot 18 times from the floor coming off the bench last night, which included 5 of 13 from three-point range. The Celtics shot 53-point shots last night en route to their victory, 113-95. When you talk about analytics, they love to chuck those three-point shots in Boston.
Well, they do 19 of them, I believe, last night they made, in fact, which I believe is the 70th time in 72 games where they've reached double digits for shots made behind the arc there. And they did it for stretches without Tatum and Porzingis in that game, and they kept extending the lead every time those guys went off the floor. That's what you call depth, Donnie, and the Celtics have plenty of it. Sacramento, not so much. And, by the way, Sacramento's got to welcome, OKC next, while the Celtics
tonight
have to go take on those Phoenix Suns, that we just talked about. So, again, the Celtics have been here and done this. They know exactly. Big deal. They're not vying for that number 1 spot anyway. Keep everybody healthy, make it to the postseason, and see what happens from there.
Yeah, we take a look at Oklahoma City Thunder, obviously 9-1 in their last 10 games, playing great basketball. They're going to be the top overall seed in the Western Conference. And now with Cleveland slipping a little bit, maybe the top overall seed in the NBA for home court advantage all the way through, which makes a big deal. The reason I bring that up is the Cavaliers still sit in front in the Eastern Conference show by 4.5 games over the Boston Celtics. Now, Tatum goes down with that injury, but if you look at the past 10 games, 6-4 the Cleveland Cavaliers, which is decent in the NBA, but not for the pace that the Cavaliers were on. You take a look at the Celtics, winners of 6 straight games, 9-1 in their last 10. we're not rushing Tatum back at this point, but there is enough games where technically the Celtics could overtake the Cavaliers. How do you play this for the Celtics with Tatum here? Extra cautious, just like we're seeing, I guess, with Brunson with the Knicks?
Yes, and I don't think there's a question about it. But it's, again, he is a guy, it's kind of uncharted territory for him because he's never missed more than 8 games in any season. I mean, he's only missed 6 this year. So they are going to play kid gloves with him. I think there's absolutely no reason for them to do anything extra. They have enough depth, Donnie, to carry it. You know what I mean? And you just saw that last night with him and Porzingis off the court. I think they'll be fine. I don't think there's any reason to bring Tatum back until they know he's ready to go 100%.
Yep, the haves and the have-nots. Always a fun time. Like, we get a little quirky late season in the NFL, like week 17, week 18. Some teams just want to play for the playoffs. Some teams want to play for seeding. Some teams want to play for actually draft status. Boy, it is a tricky time. Like, it's betting, even over the last week and a half now to the end of the season in the NBA. Be careful what you get. Handicap in the morning, not going to help you all that much because sometimes we have no idea who's going to play in that game later tonight. So good luck with that. We're going to hit every major game tonight in the NBA as this show goes on right now, which includes a continuation of a recap on what happened last night in the NBA. I'm Donnie Rightside. He's still here. It's the early line. We'll be back after this short break.
That magical time of the year when everyone suddenly becomes a basketball expert. Highlight watching, mascot picking, bracket stressing. Sound familiar? Skip the guesswork with Bracket Central. Real expert picks, trusted analysis, and zero stress. Because choosing teams by mascot cuteness isn't exactly a winning strategy. Only on SportsGrid.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What?
How do you do this one?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
It's made every match so much more enjoyable to watch because you don't get the stinkers, right?
Right. It goes back to these guys being smart. They figured out that if I've got the hammer in my back pocket and I don't relinquish it, we can just play them straight up and win. They figured that out. And so it's like, all right, now credit to the people at TGL. Like, no, we need to fix this because the hammer can change the match. And since we fixed it, you're not out of it.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
Yes, it's a Tuesday on the Early Line right here. It's Donnie, it's Joe. We're having some fun talking about the NBA action, what to anticipate down the stretch, and quite frankly, what are some of these teams actually playing for? So, Joe, we'll bring up now the Dallas Mavericks, 120-101. Congratulations, beating a team that's actively trying to tank to get as many ping pong balls as they possibly can get. The Brooklyn Nets now sit on the season 23-49, but the Mavericks at 35-37 pull into a virtual tie with the Suns to try to get the 10th spot, which is the play-in round games for their franchise. This was a team just a few short weeks ago. Let's go back a month, let's just say, where, you know what? We got superstars on our team. We're happy. Our fans love us. Can we make a run? Luka Doncic leaves. Anthony Davis comes in. He gets injured. Kyrie Irving gets injured. And the sink to the bottom continues. Now, I'm surprised by this, Joe, because I didn't think Anthony Davis would get back onto the court this year because most smart franchises go, well, he is going to be the linchpin of our franchise for the next couple years. This season is done. Whether he comes back healthy or not, we're not winning anything. We might not even make it into the play-in round. And we know the injury history on Anthony Davis. So him coming back here to help the team ruin their draft position, to maybe make it into the playoffs, to get knocked out in one game, to be then sent home. I don't understand, but they're trying to win, and they did last night.
Well, they did. And, to their credit, they have been feisty and shorthanded for a long time now. And, this is not a team that has quit. There's effort every night. They lack talent, obviously, because of all the injuries, and you trade away a generational player like Luka, but that's a whole different story. And also, do you really want to alienate your fan base even more by not making an effort down the stretch to make the postseason? So I love the pieces they have. I think Najee Marshall is a stud. They even got Dinwiddie back in action. You bring Anthony Davis, PJ Washington. It's not like they're void of talent, unlike the Brooklyn Nets, who pretty much have no talent. But Dallas could make... listen, everyone's going to look past Dallas, right? But if they can get in, Dallas is another one of these teams where, they're not giving up, and they haven't given up all year. And credit to Jason Kidd, too, for keeping this together.
Yeah, we'll see if they can make that run. It'll be interesting to see, because now, again, it's no longer a two-team race out there in the West for that final spot. You see the Sacramento Kings not playing great basketball, so maybe there is a little bit of that silver lining, like, hey, we squeak in, maybe do some damage, build for next year. But, yeah, the fan base certainly pretty upset. I'll tell you a fan base right now that was riding high for a while saying, hey, we stole Luka Doncic here from the Dallas Mavericks. That was your Los Angeles Lakers, who last night lost their second game with LeBron James back 118-106 against the Magic. And this is the problem. LeBron plays 38 minutes, 9 of 18 from the floor, 24 points. Luka Doncic, 38 minutes, 9 of 23 from the floor, 32 points here, and still lost by double digits on the road. LeBron trying to factor his way back, but not a good look for the Lakers, who are trying to charge toward a higher seed. Back-to-back setbacks now.
They went into the break with a 2-point lead, barely. And we're talking about one of the worst offensive teams in the NBA, a team that just can't score, which was great news for the Lakers heading into that game, because all they have done over the last couple of games is give up, 140 points, 120, 130. They've played no defense, but you figured this was a good opportunity for the Lakers with Luka and LeBron back with a game under his belt. This was going to be great. And then they come out and score, and they get outscored 34-18 in the third quarter. And the Magic make them look absolutely ridiculous once again. Terrible loss for the Lakers on the road in a game with their two superstars and everybody else pretty much healthy, Donnie, for the Lakers. No excuses. And you got boat raced by the Orlando Magic. That's just bad.
3-7, Joe, in their last 10 games, which includes a 3-game now losing streak, where, again, the aspirations were, hey, we might be able to take down this number 2 seed. LeBron James goes down with an injury. Now the Rockets sit in the 2nd seed out in the Western Conference, the Denver Nuggets as that 3rd seed, followed by the Lakers. But also, you say, okay, well, we didn't get the 2 seed. Maybe we can battle back. But you look just behind them, the Memphis Grizzlies in a virtual tie with them record-wise, 43-28. And then the Golden State Warriors playing much better basketball now, sitting at 6th spot. So if the Lakers don't watch out, could they find themselves in a play-in round, which is something they didn't want to happen, obviously, and we're shooting as high as the 2 seed here. I do expect them to rebound at this point, but not playing great basketball right now. Is there a chance here, Joe, that we see the Lakers in the play-in round?
Well, listen, they're tied with Memphis right now, who didn't play in that 4th spot, and they keep playing defense the way they're playing defense. Good luck, because it's not exactly a walkthrough schedule the rest of the way here. So the Lakers need to be very careful here.
Oh, yes, they do. Careful with LeBron James, because as we just talked about the Boston Celtics, you want to be healthy with your superstars in the playoffs, not limping to the finish line here. Let's talk some NCAA action. Let's reset the market for who's going to win it all next.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching! Why? because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this one?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
They are a street ball team. They remind me of an N1 team, right?
Yeah.
They are street ball fast, park fast, playing in the hood. They are no joke, McNeese.
Yeah.
They can beat anybody. They won 27 games as well for a reason.
It's a bracket. You trust the team to make a run. Feels good until it doesn't. And that's didn't feel good for all that long. Kansas.
Only on SportsGrid. That magical time of the year when everyone suddenly becomes a basketball expert. Highlight watching, mascot picking, bracket stressing. Sound familiar? Skip the guesswork with Bracket Central. Real expert picks, trusted analysis, and zero stress. Because choosing teams by mascot cuteness isn't exactly a winning strategy. Only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that roof. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
Just a little flyer, couple of 15.5-point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. That's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Sooner than later, it's going to be here, people. I know it's a Tuesday. We are chomping at the bit. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Sunday. So much fun, Joe, where it's almost like I call it like a detox Monday. Like, okay, take a step back. We're going to reevaluate. Today is Tuesday. We wait till Thursday till the Sweet 16 gets out there. But there's a lot to take a look at. But the one thing I think we can agree upon here, Joe, is, in the past for me, the joke is, and this is just like every sport. You bet the NFL differently in September and October than you do, let's just say, in December heading into the playoffs. It's the same way with most sports. Get a feel for it, see how these teams are playing it out. But in the past for me, Joe, the tournament was always really good basketball teams, 4- and 5th-year seniors with the mid-majors, and taking the points across the board, a neutral site with really good teams that you think can hang around, if not win the game. So in this, if you're just doing my take the points and pray, like, hey, these teams should be able to hang around, that's not the case. And I know you have some stats to back that up.
Yeah, well, it's just so chalky and it's so top heavy. Yep. And welcome to the portal/NIL era in college basketball, Donnie. I was telling you, favorites of 8 or more are 18-0 straight up in this tournament so far. It's only the 4th time in the history of the tournament that we have 18 or more teams that were that big a favorite just move right into the Sweet 16 with no losses. We also have no 11 seed or higher in the Sweet 16. That is the first time, Donnie, since 2007. So, I mean, you've got to be kidding me here. We're basically the idea of a Cinderella. Yeah, no. Those are long gone. What you're seeing is that there are a handful of teams up at the top. They're going to march their way each and every year because they have more talent, they have more depth, they have more money. Unfortunately, and that's what college basketball, my fear, is becoming. Who's got the most money will be the 30-point favorite in the round of 64, the round of 32, heading into the round of 16. So, I mean, we're seeing record numbers of chalk just advance like it's nobody's business. We're not getting nearly the kinds of upsets we have gotten in years past.
Yep, those mid-majors, like the players that are starters there, now getting offered hundreds of thousands of dollars to go be the 7th or 8th man on the bench for a Division I upper echelon team. That makes a difference. But also understand this, too. It's not just the money aspect of it. I could imagine being a kid in college like, hey, man, I would love to go to Baylor from, let's just say, Drake, but I don't want to sit out an entire year and then have to wait until play. Now you hit the portal, your eligibility immediately kicks over to the next school you go with. So much easier to go around. It's not for the good of the game at this point, but the rich do get richer, as we like to say. Let's take a look at the tournament itself here, Joe, because setting it up, not a lot of changes coming through. We take a look at the board to win at the FanDuel Sportsbook here and cut down the nets. The Duke Blue Devils still sit at a plus 220 price as the favorites, followed by Florida, plus 430, Auburn at a plus 480 price. But I want to start top heavy here because the question coming into the tournament wasn't, is Duke going to be good? It was, we know Duke's good, but how healthy is Cooper Fly going to be? So if we start with that plus 220 price, game number 1, easily dispatch of Mount St. Mary's. Game number 2, you get a tougher test in Baylor, which what we thought, 89-66. How does Duke in that plus 220 price look to you right now, Joe, cutting down the nets?
Well, I mean, they got the best draw in the brackets, right, as far as their path to a Final Four and possibly a national championship game. What I usually like to do when we get to this point, Donnie, in the Sweet 16 is I like to reseed everybody, right? And see, are there any changes? And I still have the top 4 teams going into the tournament. I still have them as the top 4 teams right now. And that is Duke, Florida, Houston, and Auburn. Those are still your top 4 teams. And I think you can mix and match them. I think there's not a lot separating those 4 teams on any given day. We're talking a best 4 out of 7 series. That's a different story, right? Yeah. But what's separating those top 4 teams, Donnie? And what is separating Duke from Florida? The answer is not much. There's not separating a lot from Houston and Auburn as well. The question is, do we think the next group, the Tennessees or the Alabamas of the world or the Michigan States or Texas Tech, Arizona, do we have enough faith in them being able to take down any of those top 4 seeds? And that really is the biggest question at this point. And I don't think there's a whole lot separating that group either from the 2 at the top, which I think are Duke and Florida.
Yeah, you hit on the nail on the head right there, Joe, because you take a look at the college tournament, the way it plays out. If it was a best of 3, best of 5, it's like, man, Duke is probably just going to roll. Different. It just takes one game where the other team plays really well. You don't bring your A game and you can get dropped off. So always something to look at because Duke, to me, is the best team. But at plus 220 price, you're not getting any bargain in a one-game playoff against some pretty good teams. Now, we'll take a look in just a couple segments here at the Eastern region itself to see if Duke is the best team in that region and who they set up against. But I do want to take a look at Florida, plus 430. The reason I want to talk about them is we thought coming into the wow, are they the hottest team out there, the toughest conference in the land, the biggest wins in the season have all seemed to point towards Florida. They easily beat Norfolk State, but got a run against UConn, the defending 2-time national champions looking to make it to another Sweet 16 and another championship run. That ended, but to me, UConn had every chance to win that game. So Florida being mortal, winning that. What are your thoughts on Florida and that plus 430 price now, Joe?
Well, truth be told, I'm holding a Florida to win it all at 14-1 because a couple of months ago, Donnie, I love this Florida team. And I love them because I love Golden. I love the coach, but I love the group of guys. And anytime you have an All-American guard up at the top with Walter Clayton, who is all year long been money, big shot after big shot when his team needs it the most, they all follow around him. They have depth. The guys, they have size, they have athleticism, they have speed, they have shooters. I loved Florida. I always thought because they played in the SEC, they were going to be a little bit undervalued because the SEC just kind of devours one another. But we saw at the end there where, Florida ran right through that SEC tournament. And the fact, and I think you hit it, the fact that Florida is the only one that got challenged so far and knows what they're made of when their back is against the wall. Who has challenged Duke? When is the last time Duke had a game where their back was against the wall and you had to see what they're made of, Donnie? And I think that's the biggest fear if you're looking at Duke is what happens when a team like Florida or Houston pushes Duke and punches back? Do anybody have any confidence that Duke is going to be able to reach deep enough to win a game? I don't know. They're talented enough, but they're all talented enough.
Yeah, Duke's had some trials and tribulations, which mean like, hey, Cooper Flag, is he down for the entirety of the ACC tournament and also into the NCAA tournament itself to end the season? But then we take a look at, okay, well, they didn't miss him all that much. Now he's back and healthy. But you're right about that. It's a one-game playoff. You're down 5 with 6 minutes to go. That's unfamiliar territory here, which brings me to the next team we'll hit here. That's the Auburn Tigers. Woo, the best team all season long, struggled a little bit at the end. No team's ever lost three of their last 4 games and won an NCAA championship. They sit at a plus 480 price. And we were wondering if Alabama State, Joe, was going to knock them off midway through the first half, playing close. Won the second half, then handled Creighton 82-70. Are the waters starting to calm there for the Auburn Tigers? Like, yeah, we are one of the best teams, if not the best team. Talk to me about that plus 480 price for the Tigers, Joe.
Well, they spent, 2/3 of the season as the number 1 team in the country, right? And then kind of the wheels fell off a little bit towards the end. And I got to tell you, there's an alarming trend that bothers me with Auburn, is that you can't be trailing going into the second half. You did it against Alabama State. Creighton punched you early, and then you had to make these ridiculous comebacks in the second half. And that's fine when you're playing Alabama State and you're playing Creighton. But if you continue to start slow, right now, Auburn's an automatic fade in the first half. I don't care who they're playing the rest of the way. Until you can show me that you can reverse that trend, Auburn might dig themselves too big a hole in a game coming up here. That's my fear with them.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. And again, we'll continue to pound this in. It's a one-game playoff. There's a lot of good teams out here where if you just don't bring your A game, and quite frankly, like Creighton opened up absolutely on fire against Auburn. So I do give them credit for battling back, weathering the storm, and winning that game by double digits. And Janai Broome didn't play all that well in that one. So you're waiting for your superstars to step up in the biggest moments, and you're buying time. Maybe you get the best of Auburn next against Michigan, who, again, no easy slouch there, winning a couple games in the tournament, winning the Big Ten Conference tournament at the end of the season. A lot of big doings here, which let's take a look at those South Region odds in the next segment right here on the Early Line.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Derek Queen said, as Willard quoted, "Give me the M-effing ball." And deliver, Derek Queen did. The king of College Park, Derek Queen, our first true buzzer beater.
I think that Maryland's going to win this game. I just think they're going to find a way to get the ball inside. They're going to cut down Clipper. They're going to contest the three-point line a little bit better. They're going to funnel the ball in.
Only on SportsGrid.
South region odds here as we wait for the Sweet 16, the Elite 8, the Final Four, the championship game. It's coming up over the next couple weeks here. Not too much time left in the college basketball season. Where did the time go? But this is the best time of the year, Joe. And if we look at Auburn, who we talked about here as maybe one of the most talented teams in the country, and obviously with the price points here to cut down the nets. But if we are looking at the region itself, it's Auburn, it's Michigan, it's Ole Miss, and it's Michigan State. Price points here. Auburn to win the South, minus 140. Michigan State, plus 310. Longer shots here. Ole Miss, plus 650. And then Michigan at a 7-1 price. So contrasting styles, not necessarily. Michigan State, look, how do they win? Sometimes I watch the basketball team like, where's all the elite talent? They just win. It's Tom Izzo. It's what they do in the month of March. We know how talented Auburn is. We see Michigan on that late season run winning the Big Ten Conference Championship. And then Ole Miss, who is left for dead, Joe. Carolina's going to steamroll them, beat North Carolina, hammer Iowa State, and say, Michigan State, you're next. Talk to me about some of these odds that you like here, Joe, in that South region.
Yeah, I mean, the South is fascinating. And for the life of me, Donnie, I think there's something to be said here with what Michigan is doing with their head coach, who, by the way, don't forget, this was the same guy that took FAU a few years ago to the Final Four, if you recall. He has got these guys believing, much like he had FAU believing 4 years ago. I think there is something to be said for teams knowing, Donnie, in close games down the stretch, they're going to win. They have 14 games and 14 wins this year decided by 3 points or less. I mean, they've won 8 in a row by 3 points or less, and going back to the top of the year. This Michigan team, unless you blow them out altogether, and I don't think that's happening here with Bruce Pearl at Auburn, Michigan is a very dangerous team. You know why? Because if the game is tied down the stretch or it's close within a possession or two, Michigan believes, Donnie, they are going to win that game. And in a tournament like this, that's a team I'm looking to back. They're never going to be a favorite. They're always going to be catching points. I think Michigan is very dangerous in this part of the bracket.
Good, because we're going to do two things here. I'm going to ask you two questions on each one of these regions. So if we take a look at the price points as we just had, Auburn's the favorite, Michigan is the longest shot. If we take the prices out of the equation and you're just moving them along like your bracket, who is your pick to win the South region without the prices?
Michigan State was mine to go, and not just because it's Izzo, but it's simply and they showed it again. This is a team that all year long, Donnie, has not hit the three very well. They've had their moments, but they're not a great three-point shooting team. But what they are, I think, by far has the most depth of any team I have seen in a very long time. The next group of guys Jace Richardson could not be found in that last game, right? Nowhere to be found. This is the guy who's the leading scorer. Couldn't be found, but you know who could? 4 guys off the bench, Donnie, that picked him up and were dropping double digits in points across the board. The depth that Izzo is working with here, nobody else at this point in the season can bring those kinds of fresh legs off the bench and not lose anything scoring-wise in the process. I had Michigan State as my favorite to come out of this region.
Yeah, Holloman, Frankie Fiddler, just finding guys off the bench to provide. It's just what Michigan State does at this point here. So in that region, Joe, the South, you take Michigan State. Would it be Michigan as your flyer? Like if we said, you know what, Joe, take a flyer with the odds here. Would Michigan be that shot at 7-1 that you say, you know what, they might be able to get the job done at a good price?
Yeah, listen, I think the value is with Ole Miss and Michigan. If anybody doesn't think Chris Beard can coach, and if you're Texas, you've got to be going, well, maybe we pulled the trigger a little early there, because Chris Beard is taking an Ole Miss team after a couple of seasons there and being able to recruit and get his kinds of guys. Chris Beard, like Izzo, there are some coaches in these final 16 here, this Sweet 16, that are guys that it's very hard to go against. And what we're seeing with Ole Miss, their ability to be able to shoot, their ability to be able to defend, get turnovers, get out in transition. This is a dangerous team, this Ole Miss team. I don't think they're going to get past Michigan State, but at the same time, Ole Miss and Michigan at those prices, I wouldn't hate anybody taking a flyer on them, because those two teams certainly have the ability to take the top half of the board off, especially against Auburn.
Which is great because theoretically, like, underdogs certainly harder to win than the favorites because the favorites are supposed to win. But if you told me Michigan came out and made it to the Final Four, it wouldn't be all that shocking the way they're playing, which is great. So you take a look at that region, very tough. This is what we anticipate when we don't have the true Cinderellas in. Like, Michigan is not a Cinderella at a 7-1 price to win this region. That's a good basketball club that has a lot of big-time victories. So let's flip it over to the West region and start this as we end this segment out. The Florida Gators, Maryland Terrapins are going to match up, Texas Tech and Arkansas. So if we look at the odds board here to win the West region, Florida, no surprise, once again, the top seed and the favorite at minus 125. Texas Tech plus 280, Maryland plus 470, and Arkansas plus 950 with Cal and the boys. So talk to me about Florida's path to victory, where we thought they would be the favorite, still the favorite. Any changes in your mind from the top half of that bracket for us?
No, it's Florida for me. It's just they're too good, and they have the All-American stud there leading the group. I know a lot of guys liked Texas Tech here, and they have been great. But I will tell you, Texas Tech has played 7 neutral site games this year. They're 1-6 against the number. They only covered against Drake in a round of 32, and that was kind of a mismatch. But at the same time, they had to take, 43 three-pointers? You are not beating Florida in this group by trying to get 43 threes up and try to attempt that. You ain't going to dominate in the paint. I just think Florida overmatches everybody that is left in this group. And Arkansas, don't sleep on Arkansas either. That would be my long shot here.
Yeah, Boogie Flan coming back, not playing all that efficient, but still back in the lineup. Maybe he catches fire as one of the better players to open the season this year to see how that plays out. But it is interesting from top to bottom. The Crab 5 of Maryland getting that bonus bounce here at the end of the game. Did he travel? Did he not travel? I don't think he traveled, but they won. And sometimes you move on to the next round and you sort of ride that wave of emotion. So got a couple more questions here in the West region. Before then, we focus on the East and the Midwest. Setting the table for the Sweet 16 people right here on the early line.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Derek Queen said, as Willard quoted, "Give me the M-effing ball." And deliver, Derek Queen did. The king of College Park, Derek Queen, our first true buzzer beater.
I think that Maryland's going to win this game. I just think they're going to find a way to get the ball inside. They're going to cut down Clipper. They're going to contest the three-point line a little bit better. They're going to funnel the ball in.
Only on SportsGrid.
Finishing off the West region here on the early line for a Tuesday morning, setting the table for the Sweet 16 and the Elite Eight this weekend in NCAA men's college basketball. So I ask you the same question I did previously there in the South. In the West, without the odds, just to advance and get to the Final Four, who is your pick? Florida, Texas Tech, Maryland, and or Arkansas?
Yeah, no, it was. I do think it's ultimately going to be Florida against Arkansas. And shocker, I think it's going to be an all SEC region there with a trip to the national championship on the line. But again, I just think Florida is too good. I don't think Arkansas hits the three enough or plays well enough. And I think styles make fights. And Florida's a bad matchup for Arkansas. But I don't think Arkansas is a terrible matchup against Texas Tech. I think they have a pretty good shot of pulling with Coach Cal one more upset before it's all said and done.
So who would be the flyer team on that? Would it be Arkansas at the plus 950 price, get hot, maybe win that one game, chance to hedge in the second? Would Arkansas? Okay, so we'll go with Arkansas there as that flyer, along with Michigan at a 7-1 price. Let's move it over to the East, and the beast in the East is the Duke Blue Devils here. As we said, the spouching of Mount St. Mary, the 16 seed, beating the 9 seed in Baylor, now going to match up against Arizona. So this region here in the East, it's Duke and Arizona and BYU and Alabama. Talk to me about this region here, and also Duke as the minus 175 favorite, and then BYU 9-1 getting hot here. Is anybody eligible to knock off Duke in your mind in this region here?
Yeah, I think Alabama has got a pretty good shot at doing it with Nate Oates, because offensively, they certainly have enough in the tank to be able to get it done there. Listen, BYU has been a great story, and I think BYU's in pretty good hands after they lost, Mark Pope to Kentucky. But this team and this group, man, they got some shooters in there, and it just goes to show you, Donnie, right? Shooting matters in these tournaments, and BYU's got some of the best in the country here, but they don't have more offense than what Alabama does. And I think if you're going to take down Duke, you have got to be able to, toe-to-toe, you've got to be able to score with them. You can't allow them to get out 15, 16, 17 points. And that's how Alabama is built here. I think Alabama is the one team in that bracket that has the shot of taking down the Duke Blue Devils here.
Yeah, you take a look, too, because the Alabama Crimson Tide, very quick tempo on offense, but play some really good defense and chase and defend the three-point line, which is something you take a look at BYU. That's the lifeblood for them. If they're knocking down their three-point shots, they're going to be in the game regardless of who they play. Arizona is an interesting matchup against Duke, one of those upper echelon talented team that might be able to run the court, but I don't know if they have enough to get over, unless Caleb Love goes nuts and scores 35 points in that game. There's always those opportunities. So if we're looking at the East here to wrap it up, Duke probably moves on. That flyer that you're taking, would it be Alabama at the plus 350 price?
Absolutely. I think that is going to be an awful lot of fun, that game. I listen, Arizona is nice, but I don't see Arizona knocking off Duke in this game, although they are another one of these teams that, Caleb Love gets hot, and who knows? Yeah. We've seen him take over tournaments before, haven't we? And a pretty good opportunity, I think, for him to be able to do some damage here. Any which way, I'm not sweating an under in any of these games in this side of the bracket, Donnie. I'll tell you that right now.
Let's get to the Midwest here and wrap it up. Houston, the cheapest favorite, if you will, at a minus 110 price to win their region, followed by Tennessee, Kentucky, and Purdue. So if we're looking at these matchups, Houston and Purdue, Kentucky and Tennessee, and keep in mind, we are playing in Indianapolis in a football stadium. Mm-hmm. So how do we handle the Midwest here for you, Joe?
Where defense is going to matter. So I think Houston is that kind of favorite for a reason here. Plus, they've been there. They've done this. I think it's Houston's, unless they come up with some ridiculous, crazy letdown. I don't see it happening in this bracket here. Tennessee's too up and down for me. But they would be my second choice to get it done there. I don't think Kentucky or Purdue have enough on the defensive side to take down either Tennessee or Houston. So those would be my two choices here.
It's interesting, Joe, because, I don't know, until we had this conversation, bring it up. I knew the games were in Indianapolis, but when you take a look at the calling cards for these two games, right? Tennessee, elite defense. We'll find some offense. You take a look at Kentucky. Elite offense, we'll find some defense. And the same thing with Houston versus Purdue. And the reason I bring that up is you need to make shots, and sometimes it's hard. And maybe in the Elite Eight, say, you know what? We played the Sweet 16 here. We found our shooting distances here. We're comfortable. That first half of the first game for both of these teams, watch out. I might just be leaning to the defensive team, Tennessee and Houston, even just in the first half alone, just to get those here. A lot of fun here still to come. 2 hours left to go. We'll talk Major League Baseball next. Start hour number 2.